Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a screencast around planning your child's education pathway and the new equivalency regulations. I'm going to do this screencast in probably 3 or 4 little segments because we've got 5 minutes per little slot. I will give you this slide deck anyway as a PDF, so you can have a look at each one with a bit more leisure. Okay, what is equivalency? Now, you will know this, but in essence, it is the process where the Ministry of Education endorses the grade 12, the leaving qualifications from school. The importance of equivalency. Now, there are 4 key things, and I know I'm going to read it from this slide, but this is important. If you intend to go to the vast majority of universities within the UAE, you need your high school equivalency certificate signed off. If you are a UAE student, a male student, and you want to defer or reduce the time of your national service, you must have your equivalency. Afterwards, irrespective of what university you go to, if you want to come back into the country and you want to work on the UAE mainland in the future, you need your certificate of equivalency. And if you want a scholarship as a UAE student, you'll need that certificate of equivalency. There have been some recent updates, and I will come back to the implications of the update 883, which has the significance and the change. Okay, this is an important slide. I'm going to spend a few minutes on this, and this will be the end of our first little segment. A graduate from school. Let's take a non-Emirati student. This is the pathways that you might be taking. You may well want to go to an international university, and then you will perhaps do your international study. If you want to do this, you don't need your equivalency certificate. If you wanted to come back and work in the UAE after university, you would. You would have to have it. If you were a local student applying for a scholarship to an international university, you will also need your high school equivalency certificate. Let's say you want to go to a college or a university within the UAE itself. There are 2 types of university provision, CAA, which is the Commission for Academic Accreditation. They license a number of universities, and there are a number that not. If you want to go to a CAA accredited university, which, to be fair, it is the vast majority of the universities that our students go to, you will need to have your high school equivalency. If you are going to a university which is not accredited by the Commission of Academic Accreditation, then you don't need it. And my next slide will give you a little bit more information about that. So the decision and the thoughts around, are you taking a pathway purely for local universities, or are you taking a pathway that's international or local? Because all of these come into the equation. Okay, I'm moving on to part 2 very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, part 2. If you remember, we finished on this slide, which was looking at the graduation pathways, whether you were an Emirati student going through, or whether you were a non-Emirati student. We spoke about our non-Emirati students before, but just touching on our local students, going across for our local girls. It's a very similar pathway to the non-Emirati students. Here, local university, if you want to go to a CAA accredited university, you need your equivalency. If you are a young man, you may well be going into a national service or work in the military. But again, if you want to go through as an outstanding student, and all the definitions are on these words are later in the presentation, then you will need your high school equivalency. If you want to work later, which you will do in the UAE, you'll need your equivalency. Okay, CAA accredited universities and non-CAA accredited universities. Now, if you are a local student, you have the federal pathway of universities open to you as well. Again, you will need your equivalency to go to these universities. The CAA universities, I've got a list on the next slide, but it really is the majority of the colleges or unis that you will be looking at. Um, may well be looking at others, and there's some names here. Universities which are built in the free zones in Dubai are not. You do not need your CAA accreditation. Here's a few examples. If you are looking at some of the global franchise chains, NYU in Abu Dhabi, then again, you don't need your accreditation to go to these international franchise chains here. Now, the change in the regulations 883, the key change is this. Previously, you could have graduated in grade 12 with an AS or 2 AS levels, which would have given you your high school equivalency, 5 GCSEs and 2 AS levels. Now, this is more relevant for our grade 9s actually than our grade 10s or grade 11s. But in essence, at the end of in June 23, from this point onwards, you will need your 5 GCSEs as normal. It indicates you need your mathematics, language or literature, a science, at least one science and 2 other subjects in those passing grades as indicated here. But you also need 2 A levels, not 2 AS levels, but 2 A levels. The standard and expectations for equivalency for students going to the British system has increased. I will go through what this means relevant to each grade in the next little PowerPoint, but it's a change. Now, look at the years. It's not next year. Please don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. It's not next year. It's not the year after. But there is a change coming that moves from AS to A levels for equivalency. Here's the list of the universities that I mentioned, CAA accredited university, and you will see when you can have a look at the slide deck at your leisure that there are many Sharjah universities and Dubai universities that you may well be looking at. You will also see some chains, University of Birmingham, Dubai. Now, they were also in the free zone section in that slide as well. So it's worth checking university by university whether you need the equivalency certificate as you go forward with regards to that. Okay, the next slides are just some specific information. I'm not going to spend some time going through these because they're reasonably self-explanatory and you can read them. It gives some information for admissions to university, the requirements for federal university. If you're a local student, the amount of scholarships that are available for you. If you're an Emirati young man, information around national service, the terms of national service, certificates of excellence for locals, and the outstanding